Welcome to What's the Point? A weekly discussion of truth, realities, challenges, theological and philosophical views, national policies, and international concerns.
Welcome to What's the Point? Today we're going to talk about sports, fame, and Christ. So I think for our first question, how can someone glorify God in a hobby such as sports?
Want me
Yeah,
to
Josh
start?
maybe wants to
Alright,
start
alright.
this one.
I may have half a finger advantage on that on sports.
Half of it, yes, he has, because he only has 9.5 fingers.
Yeah.
So I would say for me, right, I think that sports is a great thing. First of all, even if you're not Christian, let's just say people who are not Christian. I think Dad was telling me this when I was a kid, or when I was growing up. Sports teaches you a lot about different things in life that are amazing, right? Let's just take the Christian aspect of it for a little bit. And I think that was saying sports teaches you discipline. It teaches you teamwork. And it's funny because I feel like employers, gone through Baylor and even like high school and stuff, like people look out for and they want to hire athletes, not to be professional athletes, but because they want to hire athletes because they know they're going to put in the work and they're going to work hard and they're going to know how to deal with people and adversity, right? And that's why I think athletes could be some of the more, I call it like nasty, or some of the more dangerous people for Christ, because of their yearning and unyieldingness to giving up.
Yeah.
More so than a lot of people who don't have a sports background, who don't cultivate this determination aspect of it. Because look, when your determination changes from yourself to playing for Christ, it makes you even more dangerous, in my opinion. Right? Because that's more at stake. That's more, there's more to play for there, right? So
yeah, no, that's good. And like you said, with the athletes and the number of people, the number of attributes an athlete has would work. What do you think about that, Dad?
Also, by the way, I was gonna say real quick, shameless plug, watch your boy, maybe 2028 Olympics. We'll see what happens. But follow the journey. We'll see what happens if we still have this podcast in 8 years.
2028.
Thank you, Dad.
Finally,
for the present. Thank you.
Yeah, finally, billiards will be in the Olympics, right? For so many years, it was supposed to be a sport for the delinquents and the depressed in the Philippines, but now it will be in the Olympics.
Interesting.
Finally,
it should be hopefully in LA too, which is pretty cool. Go back home. To represent. But I think if I were to represent, probably U.S. because the Philippines.
The Philippines is it's quite crowded.
Difficult.
Yeah, because that's a sport that can be played whether you are tall or short.
Doesn't matter.
You are fat or
that doesn't matter the height.
Yeah.
And you don't need to exercise to do that.
No.
You don't really work out.
But that could be a disadvantage because you see some of those guys cannot. Maybe that's you, Dad. Sometimes you cannot lean as close to the table.
Because there's something stopping you.
But that's the belly supposed to be like a pillow there that can help out, stabilize.
But if the belly is the pillow on the table, then your chin cannot be on the table.
Actually, sports can be very much used for the kingdom. It's just hard to find a biblical, really a very categorical biblical example of a sportsman in the Bible, because it was not much a very popular thing in the past. But the Apostle Paul or even Jesus, I think, mentioned an analogy about an athlete, a soldier, a farmer. There was a mention of an athlete in the New Testament as an example of discipline, an example of determination, an example of dedication for a particular task. So they were likened to a soldier who goes to battle to fight, or likened to a farmer who cultivates and waits for harvest. So I think the traits of an athlete is very much the same as a soldier in the respect of war, and to a farmer in the respect of cultivating from seedling to harvest. So the process.
I think an example would be, I think the Apostle Paul said this, that he compared life to a race, right? And he compared heaven um, to a prize, okay?
Yeah.
And so he was saying how just like a person who's running a race has a prize in the end, so too should us on earth run with this intention of the prize that is Jesus Christ. I think that's the analogy that I was talking about with an athlete, because an athlete has a prize and end goal in mind. Otherwise, there'd be no point.
There would be no point.
NBA championship. I remember that I used to want to be like like an NBA player. I remember Dad saying, like, I was like, Dad, what do you think heaven is like? I think it's like 2014 or 2015 when the Golden State Warriors won. And I think we were like TGI Fridays or something like that in California. And I asked him, I was like, I don't know if you remember that, Dad. That was, I think that was a good time. Like TGI Fridays in California. Was a good, but it's cool because those are good times. But I remember you saying, like, I was like, what do you think heaven is like, Dad? And then he's like, can you imagine, like, maybe like the Golden State Warriors, they won the championship or they're about to win. Imagine that feeling, but forever times a billion. You know what I mean?
Oh,
the feeling
that's a good analogy.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah. It's a feeling of like an eternal victory feeling.
NBA championship, times a billion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
pretty crazy.
Now, if we're talking about, you mentioned Golden State Warriors, and we're talking about athletes, but Golden State Warriors, for example, or other celebrities, things like that, that have fame with them. They're not just like, an athlete that plays that no one really knows much about. Is fame always a bad thing? Because, there's a lot of negative connotations to fame. So is someone who's famous, does that always end up being a bad thing or leading to bad things?
Fame is a bad thing when it gets to your head. Meaning, if you become proud, you become arrogant, you become self-centered, you become wanting to be the center of attention because of your fame, and that you get irritated if you are not recognized for being famous, then that fame has gotten to your head, and that is bad. But if fame becomes an instrument to win people to the Lord, like athletes glorifying Christ and trying to attribute their victory to Christ, some celebrities or famous use their fame to bring people to the Lord. In that sense, I don't think fame is bad. In that sense, fame, like riches, can be used for God's glory.
I think what's cool about it is this aspect of glorifying God, right? And the TV time, right? A lot of times millions of people are watching that. I was reminded of, because a lot of times, like, it's awesome to see people saying, really specify who you give the glory to, saying, I give the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? Not just some God, but the God, right?
Yeah.
The Savior. And that reminds me of like Queen Jeremiah, who the Crew, right? They won like the biggest hip hop, like one of the biggest hip hop competitions in the world.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they were like Christian and they give glory, I think, specifically to Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior.
Yeah, like when they won, I think when they got interviewed,
right?
They, like,
and what's cool about that too is that like the dancers are considered athletes now, because dancing is actually going to be, I think, in the 2021 Olympics. They made it before billiards. Breakdancing is going to be added. I think what's added is breakdancing, surfing, skateboarding, and some other stuff.
Surfing was never an Olympic sport?
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
2021. And so it's supposed to be 2020, but that got postponed, I think. So, but that's the cool thing. They're dancers. If you're a dancer, you're an athlete as well, right? You fall into that. But also, I was just thinking about an example in the Bible. They're not necessarily athletes, but I compare kings to be athletes. Like that's like the status of what it feels like as far as these days, because we don't really have kings per se these days.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but the status, the symbol feels that way.
Like
Although King James, LeBron James may feel like he's king. That's not on me. It's on him. That's kind
I
of
was like,
that's,
I don't even want to get
that's
into
a big
that.
fan of King
Yeah,
James,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
his own translation of the Bible.
He has his own
Yeah,
translation.
You know what he said?
yeah.
I think he said that this thing of, and I think he might be the best basketball player ever. But I think there's one post I was like, oh man, it's kind of like a little arrogant. He's like, oh, what is it? It was like the the head that wears the crown bears bears heavy whatever, right? It was like super like I don't even know how to explain
Basically,
it.
it's like saying the head that wears the crown bears so much like scrutiny or whatever because like
And
he
for
gets
me, it's like,
he
yo, does
gets
that
so
mean
much
that you're?
because he's like gets so much hate. So he's basically saying that he's the head that wears the crown. That's
And
why
I
he's
was like,
getting
well, and I was
all
like,
this.
maybe because I was like, maybe because the crown might hurt, maybe because your head's too big. Nah, it's just kidding.
Oh,
But I'm just a Steph fan, so that's kind of maybe the
Yeah,
roast.
that's a danger because the devil. The devil was the first uh, victim, if you will, of pride. A really nice place in heaven,
He
but
did. What's crazy
but
about right? The devil is this dad. Like, it's insane to think about. People have to understand that the devil, Satan, right? Lucifer,
right.
the inception of it. Dude, this dude was the best angel that God has
yeah,
ever
Made, yeah.
side. Um, and that's what's crazy is that dude, this is literally as good as it gets. But that's the issue. If you're so talented and you got the talent over the giver of the talent, that's an issue. That becomes a curse. It's a
yeah,
curse.
Yeah.
it's really an issue of the contents of your heart. If you begin to think that your fame, your abilities, your skills are all yours and not given by God, that is the root cause of pride. Because then you'll say, "Oh, I'm really good. I'm really brilliant. I'm really, even." There are other popular, famous philosophers. Example, they think, "Oh, I really can think the best. So I think I'm the best thinker. I'm the best teacher. I'm the best player." Every time you think that you are the best on your own, the problem begins. Because
Oh.
we must realize that no matter how good that is, that's not really ours.
Right. And then tell them the I guess the balance in that. Because I think you told me this concept of then I was like, oh, I think I was struggling with that as a kid because I wanted to be the best, the best, the best. And I think you mentioned the give the glory to God, but the joy is ours. So mention that a little bit. What does that mean?
Yeah. Meaning when because there will always be the temptation of absorbing the congratulations of people. I mean, we're human beings. So if you're a good athlete and then you're congratulated, interviewed by media, "Oh, that was really a good game. You really in basketball, you really did like 40 points for a game. In billiards, you were the best, and in golf, what was that? Almost like hole.
Gotcha.
It's amazing, and then you begin to think, "Oh, I'm really good," and then appreciation, if not properly appropriated, can be addictive and can be like drugs. That because it like brings so much motivation on you that you begin to like it. Now, so the balance, I think, is when you are congratulated for whatever, immediately give God the glory and enjoy the blessing. So, okay, Lord, thank you. It's all yours. But thank you, by the way, that I have enjoyed being congratulated in your behalf.
Makes
So,
sense.
because you are not here, I'm receiving it. I'm receiving it for you. So, thank you. It's
Like it's kind of like you're the fake person in when you win
yeah,
like the best movie of the year and the director is not there.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
director's
It's a,
not
Like
there.
you're
It's
the one that say, "Oh, thank you so
yeah.
much for
I
this."
give
You
it
know, it's not
the behalf of the
yours.
it's
director.
not
Yeah,
yours, but
It's not your.
yeah,
It's not your Oscar or whatever. But
yeah,
it's
you're
yeah,
holding on to the trophy and you're doing the acceptance speech, but
yeah,
the trophy is really for God. But you're like,
yeah,
oh, but thank you. Everybody is clapping for me, but
yeah.
really it's for you. But
Correct.
right.
That
I'm the
should
one
really
here on
be.
earth right now, so I'm gonna enjoy this time. But
Yeah, exactly. That should be the case always. And
I
so if
think
that
right.
is
Go
the
ahead.
kind of thing you will have, it will never get to your head.
Mm.
mm,
Because then this idea of oh, I am the best, as I've said, it's like drugs, and the test that you are already, it's really getting to your head, is when you are not appreciated as you should.
Right.
yeah.
Example, you are supposed to be the best player in basketball, like LeBron James, for instance, and then he is in a crowd. Uh, he is not given importance. He is not made to sit at the center table. He is not invited to come forward. He is not introduced. By the way, we have a special guest here. And then when he is introduced, may I call on Mr. James to come? And no mention about his basketball. He's here, he came from America, so maybe you can share something. Mr. James, what can you say? And no mention about his basketball. And then he really gets mad and say, "What is this? Don't you know that I'm the best in basketball now?" Then it has gotten to your head,
Makes sense.
because your worth, a person's worth, is not determined by your achievement.
Mm,
It's not determined by your intellect. It's not determined by your abilities. It is determined by your relationship with God. Because no matter what your achievements are, no matter how good you are, if you will land in hell, as Kerry was saying a while ago, better to be a janitor in heaven than a king in hell. So, what good is it to be the most famous, the richest, the wisest, if you will eventually, after the short life on earth, land in hell? So, what matters most is really our relationship with God. And everything around us should go back to that.
oh,
And what I think I like the illustration of the receiving the word on behalf of God, because
Yeah.
think about it, right? It would be crazy if the person receiving it, knowing that's not theirs. It would be crazy if they didn't give some sort of credit
to
to
the
the
Yes,
director
to the
yes,
who
director.
yes.
deserved that,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
imagine someone that's just like a makeup
We would
artist,
laugh as an
and then
yeah,
they
audience.
were
yeah,
they were saying like, oh, this is the best, and nothing against makeup artists, but it's not like their award, it's a director's
It's
award.
like, oh, I'm so
yeah,
good, I'm
I'm
this and
so
that.
good and all this, and they're
Right.
like, but it's
But
not
you're
like
not the
it's not
director,
yours.
right? But that's the scary thing, is that God is watching through that screen, right? So you
yeah,
better be careful when
yeah,
in your life's actions to give glory back to Him, because one day
Mhm.
you're gonna face Him, and it's not gonna be
yeah,
a screen anymore. It's gonna be in real life, right?
yeah.
Judgment Day, and be like, oh shoot, like be like, dude, why didn't you
Yeah,
give
yeah.
credit
Like
to
when
me?
I got the Oscar, you didn't even say that it was my Oscar.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you know that there was a research that there were more former famous people who committed
Suicide.
suicide than people who are not famous?
Wow.
Why is that? And one of the suspected reasons is when their fame was declining
Mm,
and that they're not recognized anymore, they really get depressed because they were so used to the appreciation of so many people.
right.
Now, that's really scary, you know.
So
It
now,
is.
kind
Oh,
of
I
go.
was gonna say too, before we go to another one. I was gonna say, as a reminder, maybe a biblical thing. I think in the Bible it says, "How should we take the acclaim?" Right. I
Mhm.
think a good illustration is this aspect of, in the Bible. I think it talks about how we should take compliments and words of man like perfume. Okay,
Mm.
when you have perfume, you put a little bit on, just a little bit, but you don't drink the whole thing. Otherwise, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah,
Oh wow, yeah.
Right?
Good
So
one,
I think
yeah.
that's so simple. That's what compliment and the acclamation of man. Put it on perfume, right?
Right.
But
yeah,
don't douse yourself in it. Otherwise, it's not going to smell good to God. It's not going to smell good to
yeah.
others around you.
Well,
You
that's
get
You
like
know what I
drunk by
mean?
yeah,
perfume.
like if you
You get
shower
drunk.
in
Too
your
much.
Alcohol.
cologne,
Right.
Yeah.
It's too much and it hurts.
Too
Like
much.
it hurts to be near it.
Like,
So
even if it smells good and it's like a fancy cologne, you're like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I
but
think
anything,
we've gone through those people.
right?
Maybe
But
it's
see,
us that put too
things
much.
in excess is always,
Right.
things should always be done
Be
like in
bad.
moderation. You shouldn't be doing
Right.
anything in excess anyway. Or like the
And that's similar to getting or attaching compliments to yourself.
exactly, because
Excess to that
in
is
excess it's
dangerous.
too much. Now it's all about you're the one giving yourself compliments instead of letting other people give you compliments. So that's
And
pretty good.
and that's a sneaky sin, though. That's the issue with the athletes.
Because
The
it's very
sneaky
hard to
Yeah. The problem is that the last
sneaky.
person who knows that he
It's
is getting
you.
proud is the person himself.
Mhm.
Because when you get infected with pride for being famous or known, you don't know it. Actually, if you are aware that you are being proud,
then you're
actually
not being
still,
proud.
you are not being proud.
No.
If you are aware that, oh my, am I getting proud? I should repent from this. You are still in the place where you are not still proud, because you are
Right.
still conscious. Because when one is proud, he does not even realize he is. You can
Yeah.
only sense it by his reaction.
And you know what's crazy? An example that I think about that in the Bible is Saul. Okay,
Yeah.
Saul was given this amazing kingship that wasn't even his. Right? God asked the people, and you guys like, hey, you don't need a king. I'm like enough, but they still wanted a king. God gave it to them.
Mhm.
Persistence, right, of the people. God is. It's just crazy because God, oftentimes in His love will stoop down for us, but they like I don't know who, but Saul became king, right? And this is the thing. Look, if Saul reigned to be king for 5, 20, whatever, how many years, like he should be happy with that. Even 1 year as king, he should be happy. I
Right.
think Saul reigned for 40 years as king.
But then he was
Yeah.
even mad
But
that
he was mad and he was reluctant to let the kingship go to David. If he gave it up to David willingly, he wouldn't have died in the manner that he did. He wouldn't have suffered in the manner that he did.
yeah,
But he couldn't give it up.
he couldn't give it up because it got
George,
instead.
I hope you are not talking about Donald Trump, huh?
That's kind of crazy, no?
He won't never concede. He won't ever concede.
That's what's
Yeah.
kind of scary about Donald Trump is that
Yeah.
are you able to run if you don't win and if you have one? Can you run again next time?
Yeah.
No.
You know,
Oh, I don't know.
my
So if you
advice,
I'm not sure.
I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but as a statesman, if I were Donald Trump, I would have said this. Well, in the first place, that's already an opportunity to be president for 3 or 4 years. I would have said, while I have reservations on the results of the elections, as there are reports, and my lawyers will handle that. In the meantime, I'm going to concede and let Mr. Biden be president in the act of statesmanship, but let the courts of law decide on our existing petitions, because that's entirely another matter. Because that's my personal thing, not allowing anything like this to happen again. But in the interest of statesmanship, I will concede so that the normalcy of operations will go. There are no disruptions, but the cases will go on, because that is a personal thing.
But
It's
do you not know anything about Trump? He will never. I'm pretty sure someone writes his speeches and he just rips it up. So he
Yeah.
What's crazy about it too? I think somebody interviewed him, and I hope this is not the case anymore. Especially I think that was before he was in office. Somebody interviewed him, maybe asked him, "Hey, have you ever repented before?" And then he's like, I don't think I have, but the evangelicals love me, so it's pretty funny, right? It's a pretty funny comment, but I hope he has repented, just because he's getting older.
yeah,
Getting older.
Yeah.
but that's funny. Well,
Well, it's the same thing as Duterte when he ran for mayor in Davao, and he was told the second time he ran for mayor, said, Mayor, I think you will lose the election because the Iglesia ni Cristo. Normally the Iglesia ni Cristo here vote as one. So when you get it, most likely you will win. I said, they were not voting for you. I said, don't worry, the alliance will vote for me anyway. because the second largest in Davao is the Alliance after the Iglesia.
After the
And
Iglesia,
then,
so
yeah, and
Awesome. For
well,
sure.
we're
yeah,
talking about like famous people, well, we mentioned Trump and we mentioned uh what's his name, LeBron
Yeah.
James. And so are there, who are some other examples of like famous sports stars or celebrities who are really big Christians? I'm pretty sure Josh has
I wanna
answer for this one.
for sure. A conglomeration
just a
of
list of it.
people. So then I was just gonna say one of my boys, probably the main boys, Steph Curry. I'm tempted to go to my room right now and show the face of Steph Curry. That's the face that I wake up to in the morning. I think Carrie helped me up put that, but also this is his like. I think he's a CEO or part owner of this brand called Active Faith, and so it says it's really cool. In Jesus' name, I play.
Play.
So if you subscribe to What's the Point, I think you're gonna be getting a. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're not sponsored. We're not sponsored. I wish we were sponsored.
I wish you were
Not
sponsored.
quite. Not quite. Not quite. That'd be cool. But if y'all, if Steph Curry watches this, or if y'all have if Steph Curry, please, we'd like to be sponsored by Active Faith. That'd be pretty cool. But check this out. Steph Curry, one of the cool things he said, I think I told Carrie this. One of his cool quotes, and it just makes my heart warm and it wrecks me, is this concept. Somebody asked him, who do you play for? And I think his mentioning was, I think to the reporter, was that I don't play for the name outside my jersey. I play for the name inside my jersey, and that's Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, bro. I'm a big one-liner guy. That was so good. I don't play for the Golden State Warriors. I play for what's inside the jersey, which is Jesus Christ. That's why if you see Steph Curry still, I think it's like almost 10 years now in the league. Every time he makes a three or a free throw, he does this. Still.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. And more NBA players do that nowadays, if you look at it. So
Well,
cool.
what was it? Tim Tebow would kneel when they would make a
touchdown. Right. And I think it's cool. I think Kevin Durant is another example of, I think he's a Christian as well, but the unassumingness of it. Kevin Durant doesn't go around and like especially in his younger years, like he would just go around and bike around or wear just backpacks and shorts, and it would just be unassuming. So just the way you carry yourself too, like, is really cool to see that Kevin Durant in that aspect.
Manny Pacquiao is one of the most vocal about his faith. Because when he was winning, he was not yet really a born-again Christian.
Right.
But after becoming a champion, that was when he received the Lord. And then after that, he sort of like a preacher now as well. And he really speaks out his mind. Even lost, I think, a $7 million or $10 million advertisement contract with Nike, if I'm not mistaken, for making a stand against the LGBT. He was to me it was a personal question.
It was a personal question and a personal decision.
It's a personal answer. So why is he being accused of that? He was asking like what's your view on the gays and the lesbians and the likes. He said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but the God I believe and the Bible I read tells me that God does not really like these people. Doesn't like what they're doing, but what they're doing, but they're loved by God. But he made a very rude comment that while it is true, it really caused a lot of havoc. He said, the dogs are even better because they know that they are males. So animals are even better because males know they are males and females know they are females.
Yeah.
So and that was
it's
really
like a very
but it's true,
it's
right?
a very
true,
politically incorrect statement to say, but it is a personal question.
But it is true.
But it is true, but it's not the best. That's the circumstance, not the way.
It's kind of funny that Manny Pacquiao, if you look at his like rise in faith. Maybe it's also age, but maybe it's correlation to faith as well. You don't know. But it's funny because he used to not get robbed in fights, meaning typically judges favor him. But once
But after he became Christian, he was
he
losing.
started losing, bro. And he shouldn't have lost that. It wasn't his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He
with
just
Tim
lost
Bradley,
the decisions.
yeah,
So
with
many.
Yeah. So it's all man, but
With Bradley, with
Bradley.
Horn, there's so many now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
so we have what, Pacquiao and Curry. Do we have any celebrities? You have
Justin-
Okay, so I'm
Justin
gonna
Bieber.
go because he goes to like the same church that I do in like California, and like Zoe Church, is Justin Bieber, right? Justin Bieber is an awesome one too, and it's cool to see his story unfold in the season that he's in right now. And it's cool because if I look at it, like I think Steph has like 20 or 30 million followers on Instagram, but Justin Bieber times that by 5, right? Like, think about like maybe the 5 most famous dudes in the NBA combined, maybe the 10 most famous dudes combined. That's how much Justin Bieber has for a single account as far as followers.
Yeah.
I think over 150 million.
Yeah.
Right. And it's cool because think about that, the magnitude of that. That's like more than, I feel like, some countries, right? And that's insane to think about. And that's in one post. Maybe 150 million people can see that. They may not
Right.
like it, but they can see it, right?
Yeah.
And he's been posting, I think, more and more about Jesus. And I can read you what he said. Thinking about our performance and morality can leave us feeling discouraged because we feel as though we can never measure up. But I have good news. Jesus, being fully God yet fully man, took our past, present, and future sins, forgiving us, allowing us wall free of shame. Did we earn it? No. Did we deserve it? No. Our joy should be coming
from the finished work of what Jesus did on the cross. The simple fact that we are completely wiped clean from all of our sin. Jesus did what we couldn't do for ourselves. He who knew no sin became sin so that we can have real, true, intimate relationship with our God, not by earning or deserving it, but by simply receiving. This is good news. There is nothing you can do to make God love you more or less than he does right now. Sit in that, rest in that. You are worth loving. There is no earning God's love. It is a free gift. Just believe it and receive it. God will do the rest. And he posted that, and it looks like his caption was, as all of you may know, I am a Jesus guy. What you may not know is that I am not a religious man. I follow the teachings of Jesus and believe he is the Messiah. There are many things I've seen in churches that I strongly disagree with: judgmental posture, exclusion, hatred, all in the name of Christianity. I want no part in that. What I want is to love and look like Jesus and point people to his miraculous healing power. And it says, if you're interested in learning more about Jesus and his extraordinary ways, visit the Church Home app free in the App Store. So it sounds like he's using his platform to really, I mean,
well, that is a very sound theologically.
That's not bad. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, this guy gets it.
Yeah, it's like I could not even believe that it was his.
Right.
And I know it's his because it's like you can see on the post that it was taken. I don't know if you can see up here.
I think that's his notes.
That's his notes. It's the notes on like the iPhone. You see like the date.
So
I think that's solid, right?
Yeah.
If he did it, it's really very, very theologically sound.
Yeah.
In other words, it looks like it's written by like a Bible school president.
Yeah. Sometimes it sounds like he's using his platform for it, but
I think what's cool about that too is that I want to tell people before we go his background, right? Because at one point, not too long ago, maybe that's like 5 years ago now, maybe less than that, he was I think he mentioned this in his documentary on YouTube, he was close to dying. Mm-hmm. He was like so addicted to drugs, and I think his breakfast would be drinking lean, which is cough syrup and Sprite, and popping Molly, which is this pill, that's his breakfast. I do like every day. So this is the same guy that not too long ago, right? And now he posts some crazy theologically sound, correct doctrine.
Wow.
It just shows this aspect of Saul to Paul.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why I'm a believer, because of Jesus. I see Jesus in him.
Oh yeah, you definitely see Jesus' work in him.
Also, I was gonna say too before we go, like,
yeah, go
I think
ahead.
it's really cool too. I want to give credit to also Russell Wilson, who is a football player, also loves Jesus a lot, and he actually, I think, signed a contract with his wife to not have sex till they're married.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
And he's like an NFL player. Which is really, I think Bieber kind of did the similar thing, but I think they're both disciples of Judah Smith, who is mentoring, I think, both of them.
That's really good.
And so that's really cool. So I just want to credit Judah Smith, like, you know, for the work that he does for these celebrities.
Yeah.
That's the church home pastor.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Let's give it justice for the word Judas.
No. Judah Smith.
Judah Smith. Okay.
But I think these were really great examples of people. I can close this in prayer because I think these were really great points that we've done. But dear Lord, thank you so much for this time that we can discuss just about sports and fame and Christ, and how all of us can use our platform. There's examples that we discuss on celebrities that use their platform, but thank you so much for using their lives to further the lives of and further your kingdom.